What's up, my comic comrades? Today we continue covering Greg Pak's Darth Vader run with issues 2 and 3 of the series. We already did a video on the first extra-sized issue, which you can check out right here to get yourself up to speed. Because if you don't watch that episode or read the issue for yourself, you're going to be lost today as we're picking up exactly where issue 1 left off. And it left off with quite a cliffhanger as Vader apparently found Padme, who is still alive. With that said, let's talk some Darth Vader in Star Wars because I'm really enjoying this series. Issue 2 starts off with a flashback from Attack of the Clones as Vader remembers the time Padme told him when he was still Anakin, "I'm not afraid to die. I've been dying a little bit each day since you came back into my life. I love you." Vader then repeats word for word the same things he told her when she said this to him, saying, "You love me? I thought we decided not to fall in love. That we would be forced to live a lie, that it would destroy our lives." As he continues to reminisce of their battle together in the Attack of the Clones, he remembers her finally saying, "I think our lives are about to be destroyed anyway." We are then brought back to the present on planet Vendaxa, where Padme says, "What did you call me?" as Vader called her Padme in the last issue. Z67 says, "Yes, the similarity is astonishing. She seems to be the same age Senator Amidala would be if she was still alive." Superficial scans reveal a similar bone structure. She even wears Naboo-style field gear. When she asks, "Who is he?" Zed says, "This is Darth Vader, the Emperor's," at which point she quickly interrupts by blasting Vader with her blaster rifle. But he easily catches the blast and deflects it, as well as using the Force to throw the blaster out of her hand. He then gets in her face asking, "Who are you?" She then answers saying, "You said it yourself. I'm Padme Amidala, Queen, Senator, daughter of Naboo, back from the dead to haunt you to your grave." And as she's saying this, we get flashbacks of Padme. But Darth Vader doesn't take too kindly to her sass, so he pulls out his signature move, force choking her, lifting her off the ground before dropping her, as he remembered when he did this to her all those years ago on Mustafar, which he clearly regrets. Anyway, it's at this point Padme gets back up, grabs her blaster, and runs from Vader while he's dealing with the flood of emotions from the past. But of course Vader follows, but then he starts getting attacked by land squids. But come on, this is Darth Vader. You really think land squids are going to stop him? Of course not. He then uses his lightsaber to slice through them like butter, making intergalactic sushi. After tearing through the land squids, he catches up with Padme, who's opening the gates to something, but he just uses the Force to pull her towards him, saying, "Who are you? Tell me. Don't be afraid." She just looks at him saying, "I'm not afraid. I'm angry." Vader then gets in her face again and stares before saying, "I see it now. Padme is dead, but you wear her face, speak with her voice. You're the Queen's shadow, a handmaiden from Naboo." At which point Z67 says, of course. Let me just cross-reference my Imperial databank. Yes, she's Sabé, the Queen's double, just a little taller than Padme, slightly more pronounced jaw, and a 0.15% deeper voice even after adjusting for age. Now I just gotta pause for a second because I really like this reveal, because of course this couldn't be the real Padme. They would never bring her back to life. But her turning out to be her body double is just cool and makes perfect sense. Fun fact, Keira Knightley of Pirates of the Caribbean fame actually played Sabé in the Star Wars prequels. So she was the fictional body double for Natalie Portman, which is really funny. Anyway, Darth Vader then tells her, "Years ago on Coruscant, you broke into Padme's quarters. You wanted to find out what happened to her. What did you learn?" She replies, "What kind of game is this? Padme fell, and the Emperor ascended. He killed her, didn't he?" Zed speaks up saying she phrased it as a question, which indicates she lacks evidence for her implied accusation. Vader then says before Padme died, she was stolen away. Whoever hid her betrayed the Empire. Sabé then responds, "That doesn't make any sense. She stood with the Jedi." Vader then tells her if Padme had lived, she would have stood with the Empire. Sabé then says, "That's insane. Did you even know her? She would never have." Vader then tells her, "In the name of the Emperor, I will find whoever hid her, and I will destroy them." She then asks, after all these years, why would the Emperor care? Vader then asks, "Why would you?" And she answers, "The people who hid her. You think they killed her?" Vader then tells her, "You served Padme. You want revenge as well. But you fear me. Good. Let that fear guide you. I will always triumph. If you serve me, so will you. Together, we can find them." At which point she blasts a land squid that's about to attack Vader from behind, while saying, "My team's been fighting them all for 2 weeks, but they're coming up from the main nest now." Z67 says, "And you opened the gate to let them in." She tells him, "Well, that was when I wanted you dead. Not that I imagine they alone could have killed your master." As they look at the horde of squids about to attack them, she says, "But now maybe we've all got a reason to go on." At which point Vader and Sabé start fighting side by side, killing all the land squids, while Vader reminisces of the time him and Padme fought together in Attack of the Clones. Before they leave the base, Vader has Zed help Sabé bury her fellow fallen soldiers. Once on board Vader's Imperial shuttle, Sabé tells Vader, "We didn't have the full story of her death. So yes, after the funeral, we went to Coruscant and we broke into Padme's quarters, and I stole the security recordings. I thought there must be some clue there, some hint to who really killed her, but I was never able to decrypt them, but then the Emperor showed his true colors. And our strength was required elsewhere, so until we have the resources to take up the search again, we hid the recordings on Naboo." Once she says Naboo, Vader reminisces of him and Padme's wedding, with her telling him, "Don't be afraid," and him repeating what he said to her back then, "I'm not afraid." I'm angry. As we get a close-up shot of a pissed off Vader while the issue ends. And with that, let's move on to Issue 3. Issue 3 starts off with Vader looking at the land of Naboo, reminiscing of the picnics and times him and Padme had spent here. But as he's lost in thought, Sabé interrupts him saying, "Lord Vader, we should carry on. The Naberi Lake retreats not far." Vader then says, "Droid, come. Troopers, keep watch over the site. I do not wish to be disturbed." As they make their way into the lake retreat, Vader yet again is remembering all the times he spent here with Padme. As they are about to start looking for the security recordings, Vader says, "Get down," as they're being attacked by 2 individuals. Vader then starts to go ham on these 2 individuals, using the Force to throw tables at them and Force choke them before Sabé says, "Stop, put him down. Lord Vader, this is all a mistake." Vader does, at which point she says, "Thank you, Lord Vader. Please meet Captain Gregor Typho and Captain Tadra, formerly of the Royal Naboo Security Forces." Sabé then tells them, "I sent the all-clear signal. Why did you attack?" Typho answers, "When we saw you were with Vader, we assumed you were under duress." Zed then asks Tanra, "Did you think you could actually kill him?" He answers, "No, but you might have had a chance to escape," while looking at Sabé. She then tells him, "The Queen is long dead, Tanra, and I was but her shadow anyway. In the direst of moments, I am not here to be saved by you, but to sacrifice at your side." It's at this point Vader yells, "Enough! No one attacks me and survives unless they prove their value. Why should I let these men live?" Sabé then tells Vader, "I gave the security recording from Padme's quarters to Tanra and Typho." Typho then speaks up saying, "If you wish to recover it, you need our help." Vader then just stares at all of them and pauses, eventually deactivating his lightsaber. Zed then tells Tanra, "Well, he didn't kill you. I recommend that you act very quickly." And Tanra responds, "Yes, good, this way," opening a secret door, which they proceed to go through. On their way down the stairwell, Zed questions Typho about his loyalty to Senator Padme, as he was her bodyguard. While being her bodyguard, there were several assassination attempts on her. Typho tells Zed, "My team thwarted countless threats. Those attempts you mentioned were stopped by 2 heroes, a handmaiden who gave her life that day, and the Jedi Anakin Skywalker who gave his a few years later." Vader then gets a little triggered from hearing his old name and interjects saying, "When did you last see Padme?" Typho answers, "On Coruscant. After the clone troopers burnt the Jedi Temple, she insisted on flying to Mustafar alone. She said it was personal. I should have never let her go, and as we know, that's because she had to go confront Anakin, who had fully gone to the dark side at this point." Anyway, they finally reach the bottom of the stairs, which brings them to an old sub that's gonna bring them to where the recordings are hidden. On the way there, they find out that Tanra and Sabé, all those years ago, were sent by Padme to go undercover to Tatooine to find and rescue Anakin Skywalker's mother, who had been left in slavery. Vader asks, "And did you?" Tanra responds, "Anakin's mother had vanished long before we arrived. But at least we were able to free a few dozen poor souls." Sabé then says, "It remains the greatest shame of my life that we couldn't do more." And it's at this point that 2 giant Kolo clawfish start attacking their sub, literally biting into it, forcing all of them to evacuate the sub. But needless to say, Vader doesn't take too kindly to these giant fish and makes very quick work of them. They then quickly swim to a nearby Gungan building of sorts where they go inside so, they could breathe. Because, the only 2 who can breathe underwater are Vader and the droid. They then start staring at a mural on the wall, which Zed says is an apparent tribute to the alliance Padme formed in the wake of the Trade Federation invasion. Sabé then points out to Vader that was Anakin, the Jedi that Typho mentioned. Even as a child, he served Padme. After she died, he vanished. We mourn his loss as we mourn hers, which is hilarious because she doesn't know she's currently telling Anakin about Anakin. Well, it's not too funny to Vader, it actually pisses him off, so he uses his lightsaber to destroy the mural, saying, "Enough of this, where are the recordings?" Tanra asks, "You swear you'll use them to avenge her death?" Vader responds, "The handmaidens and guards of Naboo were trained in diplomacy and deception. You will not bargain with me." Tanra says, "Yes, it's all yours." He then gets it and hands it to Zed, who says perfect. As he unlocks it, we see the missing surveillance data from Padme's apartment. As the recording plays, we see it's Sabé saying, "It's time, friends. Tonight we call ourselves Amidalians, and together we pledge to find whoever murdered our queen and kill them." With Typho also in the recording saying, "So we swear." It's at this point Zed says, well, you were trained to deceive, weren't you? This isn't a clue. This is a shrine to whatever compact you've made. But if we're all after the same targets, why bother?" Vader then says, "Explain yourselves." Typho answers Vader, telling him, "I told you, Vader, the last time I saw Padme, she was heading to Mustafar to find Skywalker." Sabé then speaks up saying, "Years later, we learned that Mustafar was your domain. You killed them, didn't you?" As we get flashbacks of an unconscious Padme and a defeated, broken Anakin. But after Vader's quick flashback, he answers Sabé saying, "Of course I did." Typho then yells, "Now Tanra," as he activates something that causes a giant sea creature to come chomping down on all of them. Sabé then says, "For Padme and for Anakin," as the comic ends. So that's a twist. Sabé and gang deceived Vader so they could lead him into a trap and kill him. It's also very interesting how they don't know he's Anakin. In fact, they think he killed Anakin, which in a weird way is kind of symbolic, as Vader did, in a sense, kill Anakin. Because in order for Anakin to become Vader, Vader had to take over, killing the man he once was. In any case, I'm really digging this series thus far. I love digging deeper into Darth Vader's psychology, which this series is definitely doing. So I cannot wait to continue covering it here on the channel. But what do you guys think? Are you digging this Darth Vader series? Let us know in the comments. And that's gonna do it for today's episode, my comic comrades. But if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to check out this one to my left. And if you like all of our content, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the channel out. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.